32. That's the magic number of seats needed to win state power in Jamaica. Whichever party gets there first will win the chance to govern Jamaica for the next 5 years. On March 20, Prime Minister Andrew Holness presented his administration's ninth budget presentation, where he outlined his plans for the 2025-2026 fiscal year. But this budget was a little different. I'll tell you why in 10 seconds time. Hi, my name is Damian and I talk about food, fitness and finance on this channel. If these are topics you find interesting, click that subscribe button and turn on your notification for brand new content like this every week. Now, a few days ago, I released my review of Mark Golding's budget presentation. If you missed that video, click on the pop-up banner and go watch it after you finish this video. Before I dive into the Prime Minister's budget presentation, let's look at who he is. Andrew Holness grew up in Ensom City, Spanish Town and attended the St. Catherine High School. He earned a bachelor's degree in management studies and a master's degree in development studies at the University of West Indies. In 2024, Holness completed a Doctor of Law and Policy degree at the Northeastern University in Boston, Massachusetts. He entered politics in 1997 as a Member of Parliament and in 2007 became the Minister of Education under the Bruce Golding administration. It was also Bruce Golding that Andrew Holness succeeded in 2011 to become JLP leader and Jamaica's 9th Prime Minister. His first bat at the wicket though was short-lived, as he lost his first election as Prime Minister to Portia Simpson Miller less than a year later. Fortune was however returned to him in 2016 when he defeated Portia Simpson Miller to once again become Prime Minister. Now Andrew Holness presented a $1.26 trillion budget for the fiscal year 2025-2026 under the theme Accelerating Growth for Your Peace, Productivity and Prosperity. The man stood there for over 5 hours, That must be a record. He started by saying this.
Madam Speaker, I stand before you today filled with immense pride as we reflect on the extraordinary progress our nation has made. The achievements are not just incremental improvements, they are historic breakthroughs that have placed our beloved nation in the strongest economic position ever since gaining independence.
And that was the theme throughout the rest of the presentation. It was clear that for the upcoming election, the JLP plans to campaign on their track record, being at the wicket for the past 9 years. The first thing he defended was annual inflation. Under his administration, it averaged 5.5% and, based on this chart, is the lowest since 1972. In true political fashion, he did not waste an opportunity to fire political shots at the PNP.
The period of highest inflation in Jamaica's history was under the PNP administration of 1989 to 2007. During that period, inflation averaged 18.5% per year. A better way to understand it, Madam Speaker, is that in 1980, a loaf of bread cost less than $1. In fact, it cost about 50 cents somewhere around. But in 2007, it cost $130.
Older folks, is that true? Tell me in the comments, because them time them just born. Anyway, he then moved on to job creation and defended the unemployment rate. Currently, it's at about 3.5%, down from a high of 13.7% in 2016, according to this graph. According to him, the rate of job creation is nearly twice that of the last PNP administration from 2012 to 2016. The Prime Minister then highlighted the exchange rate stability. It declined on average 2.9% per year relative to the USD under his administration. But hold on, look at the 1989 to 2007 period. The dollar moved from $5 to $70? What kind of madness did that happen? FINSAC was them time, not true? I'll probably research and do a video on that. Let me know in the comments if that's something you'd want to watch. On to debt to GDP ratio. Holness said it fell from over 120% to 68.7%. I don't fully grasp the roots of our debt crisis, but given this is a finance channel, it might be something I explore deeper. He said at one point the interest rate alone on our debt was over 70% of all tax revenues we collected.
If you add public sector wages to that and other things that you have to pay for out of tax revenue, then you basically would have no money left. If you want to know what drives me, Madam Speaker, is to make sure that we never go back.
Sheesh. Andrew turning a bro god for a minute there. Gather yourself, Prime Minister. Mind you break the desk. He spent a great deal of time making it clear that the roots of Jamaica's problems date back to the late 1980s and early 2000s, majority of which was governed under the PNP administration led by then Prime Minister PJ Patterson. Holness said that many businesses and factories closed due to the inhospitable environment that FINSAC created. I'm still trying to wrap my head around how bad FINSAC must have been. Mercy. He went on to acknowledge former Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller and Peter Phillips's role in the recovery effort to bring the debt down, and I like that. Politicians should more often give credit where credit is due, without malice or hostility. But where credit is not due, he said this.
This reminds me of the classic tale of what we in Jamaica sometimes regretfully call Butler's father, who caused the mother so much pain and then abandons the child. But when the child grows up to be successful, out of the blue they turn up to claim paternity and associate with success. This leader of the opposition is a man of convenience, flip-flopping between prudence and popularity when it suits him. The mother remembers the pain of FINSAC and the high interest rate policy, the largest transfer of wealth from the poor to the rich, and she knows that she cannot trust this worthless man. So the DNA test was done. The results are in. When it comes to 15-year-old fiscal discipline, PNP, you are not the father.
Hey, how is Mark Golding keeping his cool? These are fighting words by the PM, you know. Jokes aside, let's get to the business end of things. What are the government's plans for the country? What's in the budget for this year? Of course, the pride of the Holness administration is this.
The budget that we have presented represents the 8th consecutive budget of no new taxes and the 10th consecutive budget of no net new taxes.
And look, I only started paying taxes 10 or so years ago, and I appreciate that taxes on my salary have only gone down. That's more money in my pocket to save, to invest, or spend as I like. I don't know how long they can do this for, but the minute they start adding new taxes or increase one, I'll be the first to throw tomatoes at them.
We have increased the income tax threshold. When we came into office, the threshold was $592,800. It is now $1.7 million and will move to $1.8 million next month. And then to $2 million over the next 2 budgets.
I'm in two minds about this increase in income tax threshold. On one hand, yeah, you get back a 2 extra grand in your pocket, but in this economy, that not really do much. But in the same breath, I guess he's being fiscally responsible by not being too generous. On the other hand, I can't help but remember the massive increases in salaries the government gave themselves recently, with justification that, in my opinion, not really hold water. Let me know what you think about this increase in income tax threshold in the comments. He went on to say pension relief and age relief for the retired and elderly will move from $80,000 to $250,000 in this budget, and then to $350,000 in the next budget. Massive boost this for the pensioners. More relief also for small businesses, as the threshold required for the registration of GCT will increase from 10 million to 15 million. Well done. Another win Holness mentioned was the establishment of the National Disaster Fund, which is part of his whole resilience strategy to economic policy decisions.
The next chapter of Jamaica's economic journey must therefore be about accelerating growth while maintaining fiscal and macroeconomic stability.
But how does the Prime Minister plan to move from resilience to growth? His growth strategy is summarized in the acronym ASPIRE. Here's what it means.
A, access to economic opportunities for all, that is the inclusive growth agenda. Safety and security, S. P, people and our focus on human capital development. I, for infrastructure development. R, for reform of the bureaucracy to ease to improve ease and speed of doing business and to reduce the cost of doing business, and E, economic diversification.
The A in Aspire is for access and inclusion of all Jamaicans. No trickle-down business, him say. Strengthening our social safety net and supporting pathways out of poverty, like the Hope for Children Trust Fund that provides every eligible child a long-term savings account funded annually by the government, accessible to the child on or after their 18th birthday. It will be funded by an initial $200 million investment in this upcoming financial year. I like this initiative, and I like that persons can contribute privately to the fund. At 18, you often need money for furthering your education or invest in skills training, and this can go a far way for some. Another way of democratizing the wealth, he says, is by enabling Jamaicans to own shares in key national assets.
In May 2019, we divested Wigton Farms, and in March 2020, we divested 80% of Trans-Jamaica Highway. Tens of thousands of small investors have benefited from dividend income and capital gains through ownership of these shares.
This is true. I personally participated in each of these opportunities, and I've seen the returns so far. Now that he mentioned that the Jamaica Mortgage Bank will go public soon, wanna start save on $2,000 extra from now to get a piece of it. Holness then went on to safety. He said Jamaica is taking decisive action against violence producers, and it shows in the numbers.
Madam Speaker, in 2024, Jamaica recorded a 19% reduction in murders, following a 7% decline in 2023, bringing our homicide rate to 40.1 per 100,000. While still high, we are now outperforming some of our regional peers, a stark contrast to 2016, when Jamaica had the highest crime rate in the Caribbean at 50 per 100,000.
The crime statistics are encouraging, I would agree, but I think the perception of crime is still bad. Even with the double-digit decline, people still don't feel safe sleeping with their doors open. We're far from that, and he admitted it. That said, I still think the JLP and the JCF deserve some credit for at least bringing crime back down to a level, and murders are projected to be less than 1,000 this year if the current trend continues.
In 2015, before my administration took office, capital expenditure for national security was $2.67 billion. By 2018, we increased the spending on security to $12.7 billion.
I see what they're doing with the JCF. More vehicles, technology, improved recruitment, better training. The force look good, it looks strong, and prepared for crime fighting. Criminals of Star Tech Squad is serious now. Over to the P in Aspire, the people. He touted the LIFT program and the CARE program as programs for school leavers to get funding for skills training and prepare for the workforce. This is in addition to HEART, which has over 150,000 people signed up since it became free. The Amber Heart Academy is also one of those programs I like, as it takes students right after training into either paid internships or entry-level roles in their careers.
2 years, 300 young people will receive paid hands-on training alongside industry professionals. Each participant will earn a weekly stipend of $13,500 to $16,500 with a 10% set aside as compulsory savings.
You thought it ended there? Andrew said, hold my beer.
We are launching the Boost, Building Opportunities for Outstanding STEM Students program. Beginning in April 2025, HEART graduates in Level 4 STEM-related courses will be eligible for a grant of up to $300,000 to purchase specialized tools, software to start their business.
He also plans to expand JUTC to rural areas to assist students to ease the financial burden. He will use buses used in the American system that will be refurbished because, well, they are made to drive on the right-hand side and we drive on the left-hand side. So the I in Aspire. Holness says there's water projects all over the island, too many to list. But one in particular I found interesting was this.
The severe drought which affected Western Jamaica disproportionately prompted the acceleration of major capital works to replace transmission mains in the parish of Trelawney, St. James, Hanover, and Westmoreland. This is a $28 billion 3-year project which will commence in May 2025.
I'm from the western side of the island, and I'm all too familiar with the issues with water. This is something I know people down that side will be excited about.
In November 2024, I announced that the NWC would provide an amnesty to customers cut off from the utility for more than 6 months.
This was a pretty good initiative because people get back them regular water and the government collected on what would otherwise be sunken debt. The JLP is also investing in roads in places like St. Thomas and the nearly finished Montego Bay Perimeter Road. The North-South Highway will be extended from Miami Bay to Discovery Bay and to Prospect in St. Mary with this clover leaf design at the roundabout. Portmore will get roads soon too, with the dualization of some major carriageways. Lucy and St. Ann might get a bypass, but let's see about that one. On the plan to invest in housing and tackling the housing crisis, Prime Minister said this.
Madam Speaker, the NHT will commence construction on more than 19,575 solutions across all parishes over the next 2 years and continues to acquire land for new development.
I believe this target is more realistic than what Mark Golding said in his budget presentation, based on historical numbers alone. And I find what he said next really interesting too.
In order to address the difficulty of identifying and accessing large tracts of land for housing in some areas, especially urban and semi-urban areas, the NHT will seek to partner with owners of small parcels of land under the Small Development Partnership Program. This initiative will see the NHT providing project funding and the technical and construction expertise, while the landowner will offer their property as their equity for the development.
This feels innovative and more importantly, it's feasible. The benefit to the small landowners is that their land is put towards equity in the new development. So if you inherit dead left, but you don't have the mode or the means to develop on it, you have an avenue through the NHT to home ownership. The Holness government also increased NHT individual loan limit from 7.5 to 9 million. Co-applicants from 15 million to 17 million. And 3 co-applicants from 21 million to 23 million. Key point to know here, he said moving forward, the NHT will not be doing any new developments above the $14 million price point. With the increased loan limit and the cap on house prices, I see more low-income people becoming homeowners very soon. On energy, he reminded us that the GCT on residential electricity will decrease from 15% to 7% from May 1st of this year. Remember, the JPS license expires in 2027, so some renegotiation will take place. Which side though you feel more comfortable in the room with JPS to negotiate the new license? The JLP or the PNP? Leave your answer in the comment section. To the R in Aspire, both sides acknowledge a national problem with productivity. Holness agreed with Mark Golding that though unemployment is going down, output isn't going up. So Mark was right to say that Jamaicans are underemployed. Sidebar. Politicians can be blind partisans, you know. If you should go by what they say sometimes, their side is never guilty of anything wrong. Yet, here's Andrew calling out himself and his own government for their shortfalls. This signals to me that he's not thinking tribally and that there's genuine intent on leaving the country better than he found it. Holness is proposing some amendments to the Procurement Act to address the bloated bureaucracy that currently exists through the SPEED initiative. But there are some early changes that's coming.
The first certificate of fitness for a new motor vehicle will be issued for 5 years. For used vehicles, 10 years or less, the validity period for certificates of fitness will be 3 years. For vehicles older than 10 years, the current yearly renewal schedule will remain.
Yeah man, think of the amount of time we're spending at the tax office. This one move are gonna save a lot of wasted time and resources. NIDS also started issuing ID cards last November, and the next step is to digitize the systems to take advantage of the new ID. Here's an example of how it will work.
We will soon be introducing the I'm Alive app, or rather I Am Alive app, that will enable you to use your national ID, your NIDS, to complete the proof of life form from the comfort of your home in no more than 2 minutes.
The E in Aspire. They intend to make Jamaica the logistics hub of the Caribbean, using the Port of Kingston as a strategic location. They are expanding the Kingston terminal as we speak to accommodate trade in the region. Another key pillar of their logistics vision is the Cayman Special Economic Zone project, for which the groundbreaking will be before summer this year. Other initiatives like the Solidarity Program and increasing the national minimum wage from 15 to 16,000 for a 40-hour work week were announced to improve the lives of the lowest income earners of this population. He ended by saying this:
"We have conquered the challenges of macroeconomic stability and debt reduction. Every Jamaican, in this year of decision, to choose wisely, choose rationally, I urge you as I close, choose Jamaica."
Well, there you have it. The PM's budget presentation. I think the budget offers some relief and opportunity in major pain point for many Jamaicans, like education, housing, and the rising cost of living. It doesn't appear that they plan to take their foot off the infrastructure development gas pedal, and that's something that everybody can be excited about. We are literally seeing our tax dollars transforming Jamaica in front of our eyes. If you live a foreign, make sure you over there peep over the fence to see how you can secure your piece of the island. Where I'm not convinced though is his plans for economic growth. Yes, he will tackle the bloated bureaucracy, but that's gonna take some time for sure. He didn't go far enough in outlining immediate plans to improve productivity. Small things like implementing hybrid work models that can ease the time spent commuting and ease traffic congestion as well. Also, since they increased parliamentarian salaries, what are we getting for it? Where are the job descriptions as promised? That's where I leave it for now. But what do you think? Did you think the Prime Minister fell short? Or are you looking forward to another 5 years of the Holness administration? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.